So I've got a little presentation about Airbnb, VRBO, TripAdvisor, basically all short-term rentals, what they're looking like right now, and what the profit potential is post-coronavirus. As you know, things have been incredibly difficult for a lot of short-term vacation rental owners, and it's a difficult market out there for everybody right now that has a short-term vacation rental. And we'll go through some of what's been going on, what the numbers look like, and then as we get into the post-lockdown phase, what things might look like going into the future. So a little bit about me. I own the home company here in San Diego, California. We're a real estate brokerage that focuses on value-added opportunities. Since about 2012, we've been doing Airbnbs and similar short-term vacation rentals with properties that we own and with some of the properties that our clients own as well. So what you may be hearing out there is the pent-up demand there is for people to get out. Obviously, there was the lockdown period. Some states for 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks have been on a stay-at-home order, and people are clamoring to get out and get back out and be able to do what they would like to do. And so states are slowly opening up. We have seen a inquiry surge over the last week or so, especially for Memorial Day weekend. A lot of the properties have been getting inquiries and have been getting booked for this weekend and then into the summertime. But we're still seeing previous reservations, people that booked last year or the beginning of this year prior to the whole coronavirus get canceled for whatever reason. They don't want to travel right now due to the fact that there is an ongoing pandemic, and most people are still really concerned about getting on an airplane or going to a vacation place that they don't know about. A little quick scenario of long-term leases versus short-term rentals. As you can see from the numbers, there's about a double amount of annual revenue that you get from a short-term vacation rental as opposed to a long-term lease. At least that was the case up until about March. But now that obviously has been cut dramatically. Even with long-term or short-term management in place, the numbers were significantly higher. And when the numbers are such, there's such a huge discrepancy, people tend to jump on board with short-term vacation rentals because you can take advantage of the arbitrage period to earn incredibly higher lease rates than you would through a traditional one-year lease. Therefore, it's led to increased property values, as well as some people have been doing lease arbitrage and have been leasing on a long-term rental basis, and then in turn using the long-term leases as Airbnbs or short-term rentals, and trying to come up with numbers that make sense so that they can rent a property on a long-term basis for $2,000 or $3,000 a month and Airbnb it for $4,000 or $5,000 a month and pocket the difference. What this time is giving us is a lot of time to go back and revamp our listings, to go through and basically take a look at what we can do in order to make them pop out from the other comparables that are out there in search of those 5-star type of experiences. So we've been going through, touching up our photos, adding 3D floor plans, video walkthroughs, some things that you may have seen out there in the real estate market, such as 3D virtual tours, those types of things that are going to give you a leg up on the competition. One of the things that's really taken off and it continues to is the real estate market as a whole. So we have sold a couple of properties in the last month here, especially for a couple of our clients who've had Airbnbs. The clamor for people out there to find a property to purchase, especially with interest rates in the 2s right now, has been dramatic. And as you can see from the last line, the median home values now are over $265,000. And they've significantly increased in San Diego as the interest rates have declined, and there's just a lack of supply. The demand is huge, and we've seen 10, 15, 20 30 offers on properties as soon as they hit the market, especially when there's an opportunity to get short-term rental income from them as well. There are a lot of services out there that can help as far as when people need some expertise or advice when it comes to short-term rentals. Laptop Landlord's one of them. Guesty is a property management portal. It allows you to collaborate and share all of your vacation rentals in one spot, so you can answer everything in one place without having to go to VRBO, TripAdvisor, Airbnb, and have multiple inquiries. It's kind of a dashboard for everything that you need. LearnBnB, if you haven't done anything before, and Fiverr we use a lot for when we need photos, video, and everything else that we can get taken care of. But all those services are great when it comes to helping out in the community and to be able to take advantage of some of the tools that are out there. So what do? We review, analyze, and show potential for increasing revenue when it comes to short-term rentals. The market value, as I have mentioned, has increased significantly, and Airbnbs have actually increased even more than that. The fact is that you can get rental income and you can rent out portions of your home or your entire home and still get a much higher value as far as a resale value than you can by your neighbors. We've been able to, just in the last 2 weeks, get values of anywhere between $50,000 and $75,000 more for a comparable house in the same neighborhood because it has a rental history of Airbnb. If you haven't Airbnb in the past, we have a referral link down there. You get $55 the first time you do it. We get $30 when you sign up and use Airbnb. And I'll open it up to questions for anybody that has anything. Feel free to either put a question in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and you have a question, be happy to answer them.
Hello, my name is Aru. I have a quick question. So what does the market look like right now, post-COVID and in reality? So you still have people canceling if you don't want to sell your property. What do you foresee in terms of just because of COVID?
So what we've seen is in March, obviously there was just about the entire month, there was cancellations across the board. So we saw about 10% occupancy as far as March went. In April, it was about the same thing. It went up a little bit to about 15-16% occupancy. In May, we've had a little bit better, and it's been about 25-30%. And then into June, we're starting to see a much higher amount of demand, and then into July. Which market are you in?
I currently live in Atlanta, and I haven't listed my property out. I was looking to list it out, and COVID happened, so it kind of made me a little bit nervous too, because I was thinking, again, I was just nervous too. Is this how will this recover versus just doing a long-term rental, even though I know that's a lower income?
Definitely, good question. What we have seen is that the amount of demand has surged over the last week or so, and a lot of people have taken their homes either off the market or have turned them into long-term rentals. So the amount of competition that you're going to have that's out there is going to be a lot less. I do recommend that if you haven't listed your home yet, that you do get it on the market, even if you just want to test it to see what you can get. Right now, it gives you an opportunity where you can get in and on the market. Airbnb gives you the ability, especially, to list your home as a special for the first 3 people that stay. So the first 3 guests that you host will get a 20% off if you enable that. But it gives you a much higher search engine ranking on their website, and allows people to get in and give you reviews and to kind of seed you into the ecosystem. So you should probably get your home on the market sooner rather than later. And all the portals, not just Airbnb, you want to be able to use, VRBO, TripAdvisor, Booking.com, and you'll probably be able to. And what a lot of people have said is that you'll be able to get a leg up on a lot of the people that have left the ecosystem here in the last month or two that aren't going to be on the Airbnb or short-term rental market anymore. So that will give you a little bit of an advantage because if you're going against people that had 100, 200 reviews, 4 or 5 star reviews, and you were new at that time, it's much harder to get a decent occupancy rate than it is right now. So that's the good news.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else have questions? One of the things I'd like to bring up as well is that people have been, experts have been predicting that hotels are probably going to be the hardest hit out of every single sector that's out there right now. And you're seeing it definitely across the board with the Hiltons and the Marriotts and everybody else. They obviously have a huge amount of fixed costs expended into their hotel properties. And people don't want to stay in a place that's shared right now, especially. So Airbnbs will recover a lot quicker, and there'll be a lot higher demand for the short-term rental market than there will be for your typical, Marriott or Hilton or Residence Inn or those types of properties. And I think that you'll start to see that people especially want that privacy, and they want to have the ability of not having to interact with strangers or people that they don't know if they don't need to. So I think that that's probably true for the most part, that you'll see a much higher demand for short-term rentals going forward than you will for the hotel properties.
Christian, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I was wondering if there's any requirements with either through San Diego or Airbnb about cleaning, about the post-COVID, any requirements that have been placed?
As far as I know, they have all of their requirements on the website. They have made the requirement, at least for some of our properties that I know of, that you can't have back-to-back bookings. So we used to be able to get a checkout same day check-in.
Okay.
Now there has to be 24 hours. I think if it's not 48 hours in between. So that's been a big change, is that our occupancy, usually ran about 75% or so, as high as 85% when it was really busy. But obviously, if you have to spend a day in between bookings, you're going to have a lot lower occupancy rate, especially during the summertime when it's usually the busiest. So the bookings may end up being, 50, 60% for the near term until this has all kind of worked its way through.
Right. Have in your experience, have your bookings either increased in number of days or decreased in number of days per booking?
We have seen an increase in number of days. We would usually see just the weekends, typically Friday, Saturday bookings, and now we're seeing many more longer term, week, 10 days, 2-week bookings. But we have also seen across the board where most of the inquiries that have come in, they've asked for price reductions. I'm not sure if everybody else has seen that in the community, but we've seen lots of people that have come in and asked for, our typical rate is going to run about $400 a night, and they'll ask for $200 a night. And some instances that makes sense, but in most cases it doesn't, just based on our fixed costs and that we run a lot of luxury properties and that they don't pencil out if you're doing it at too low of a rate. Right. So we have seen longer requests, but we have seen people ask for significant price reductions as well.
All right, thanks.
Sure. Anybody else have questions? Well, I do want to let you know that my email address is there at the bottom. I have made this into a recording as well, so if you missed any part of it, feel free to watch the recording. I'll post that on the MeetUp site. And,
I have a question.
Sure. What's your question?
So I know just locally, I'm in San Diego, but a lot of people are changing from short-term rentals to long-term rentals, and then maybe they'll come back in, and I don't know how long it'll take to recover. But then there's a lot of people that have just given up, and they're going to remove the furniture, and they never want to do short-term rentals again. So I know you don't have a crystal ball, but have you heard of a lot of people just giving up and they don't want to do it anymore permanently?
Definitely. I've heard of, I'd say, probably 40 to 50% of the people that we know and the people that we manage for have done exactly what you just said, either turn their property into a long-term rental, at least for the next 6 months, or they just sold their property. Many people did buy short-term rentals as an investment and bought them based on the fact that they were going to cash flow. If their mortgage payment's $4,000, they were going to get $5,000 or $6,000 a month in short-term rental income. Now they're finding that they can't do that, and if they were to rent it out long-term, they'd only be getting $3,000 a month. So they'd be losing basically $1,000 a month if they were to long-term lease it. So it doesn't make sense for them to keep the property. They're selling their properties typically, which is great right now because there's such a demand and there's a pent-up demand for owner occupants, and so it gives people a chance to sell their short-term rentals without having to take a loss. A lot of these people are still making $50,000, $100,000, even though they bought the property a year ago or less. And we are seeing a lot of hosts are not available. Their properties aren't available anymore. I think that's why we're seeing such a surge right now, especially for Memorial Day weekend coming up here this weekend, is that there's just not many places available. And so the people that do want to come into San Diego or the vacation spots, we've seen places that have a pool get rented immediately, especially with this heat wave. There's a lot of demand for, pools and jacuzzis and that kind of thing. But what this does give you is the opportunity, like I said, to, if you're not in the short-term rental market right now, to be able to get into it and be able to use this time in order to build up your reviews and your performance so that you do rank higher in the search engine. And when this does, come and go, which it will here at some point in the future, and people feel more comfortable to travel, you'll be in much better shape. You can either increase your prices or increase your occupancy dramatically. Whereas if you were competing against other Airbnbs that had a much longer history and much more reviews, you typically didn't have a chance to get into the community or build up that type of a review and a history in the past probably 2 or 3 years, where right now you do have a great opportunity to get in, get those initial reviews and be able to hit the ground running. Thank you for that question. Anybody else have questions out there? We'll get maybe 1 or 2 more and then finish this up.
Hello.
Hi there.
This is Lance. I'm a local real estate broker, and so I was just wondering if you know of, is there a good website out there that actually is specialized in listing your vacation rental? Because, people have vacation rentals all over the world, let's put it this way.
So your question was, is there a website that allows you to list your vacation rentals?
Yes, if there's a specialized, like they have specialized websites where if you have just land or lots, you can list it there. Not just talking about San Diego, because people have vacation rentals, Costa Rica or Berlin, Germany, or anywhere.
Well, Airbnb is going to be the top vacation rental site by far. About 80% of the traffic comes through it. 75 to 80%. The second biggest is going to be VRBO and HomeAway, and those are going to give you the ability to lease properties all over the world.
Now, not leasing. I'm saying you just mentioned that a lot of people are selling their homes.
Oh, you're talking about like putting them on the market and selling the home?
Yeah.
Each country is going to be completely different for that.
Yeah. Okay. And so there is not one global company out there as an Airbnb. So Airbnb does not have for sale listings.
No, Airbnb is just a short-term platform.
Yeah, no, I know. So that was, I was wondering, because I mean, the whole pandemic is obviously globally, and so I was just thinking it's something missing.
Yeah. So there's no way to find for sale properties throughout the world. Unfortunately, there's different portals. As Zillow is the de facto standard in the U.S., there's going to be portals for just about every country that are going to be different and going to have different listings depending on which country you're in.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure. Well, perfect. Any other questions here?
Thank you very much, Christian.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for attending again. I'll post this on the website when we're done, and we'll have other Airbnb meetups in the future to hopefully answer some more questions that you guys have.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.